Hello, future teachers. I am Mrs. Abear, here to talk to you about the technology integration lesson. This video is just going to be a quick overview of the assignment and the expectations moving towards the end of the semester. So the technology integration lesson has several objectives. You are going to collaborate with a group of students who are seeking certification in the same or a similar content area to design, plan, and present a 20-minute mini lesson. Not a full class period, not a unit, nothing like that, just one single 20-minute mini lesson. Your group is going to be the same group that you've been working with all semester in the CUIN 3312 Educational Technology class. You will also meaningfully incorporate technology to aid in the initial teaching of a new concept or skill. So keep that in mind, that this is the first time that you are teaching this material to your hypothetical students, and that it should not be a review assignment. It should be new content. And then at the end of the assignment, after you have taught this lesson to the class, you will reflect on the strengths and weaknesses of the lesson after teaching. And you're also going to reflect on the strengths and weaknesses of the lessons that you watch as well. So the instructions, step 1 is planning, and we will get into this in week 11. You'll begin by the planning process by completing a PLC planning document, which is linked there, to break down the TEKS that you will teach and to answer the 4 essential PLC planning questions. Those questions are: 1, what do you expect your students to learn? 2, how will you know when they have learned it? 3, what will you do if they don't learn it? And 4, what will you do if they already know it? So those 4 questions come from the PLC method of planning that several districts in this Houston area have adopted in the last, decade or so. This is what I personally used when I was planning and teaching my 8th grade students. So this is not just something that we made up for you to do for this class. It's something that real districts actually do use. So having a little bit of experience with this PLC planning process will be helpful for you, and you can talk about it in interviews in the future. There is also an example of the document completed for 8th grade English here that you can click on, and this is actually going to be your in-class activity, your 5-point activity in week 11, and so you don't need to submit it with the final lesson plan at the end of the semester in week 14. So moving forward, once you've done the planning steps in the week 11 class, you will use the technology integration lesson plan template, which has been adapted from the University of Houston College of Education lesson plan template. And you'll use this to plan a 20-minute mini lesson that incorporates technology in a meaningful way. So I really want you to think about that meaningful aspect. This shouldn't just be, oh, I like Kahoot, so I want to use Kahoot. You should decide what it is that you're teaching and then what technology is going to best help you teach that. So again, this lesson should be an initial teaching, so first time teaching of a new concept or skill, and it should be based on appropriate content and grade level TEKS, or the Texas Essential Knowledge and Skills. So your lesson plan needs to be sure to include all group member names, the grade level of students for this lesson, your standards, your TEK that you're teaching for this class, the ISTE standards that relate to the lesson as well, then your objectives, the resources required, both technology and other, the detailed step-by-step procedures for the lesson, and then the potential challenges and a plan B, as well as notes and credits. And all of those items are included in the template, so just be sure to fully complete the template. Now we do have some resources for you here. We have the TEKS. There's also, this link goes to the Lead Forward TEKS resources, and I do want to just show you that real quick. So this goes directly to the Lead Forward and the Resources tab. You can see Content Builder, Resources, Data, Accountability, Performance Standards, Test Accessibility, Instructional Tools, and Learning Videos. So there are a lot of resources here. So I'm going to go to grade 8, reading and writing, because that is what I taught, and this column gives you the snapshot. I've always found the snapshot to be very helpful in seeing and understanding the TEKS because it lays them out in a nice neat, organized way instead of the way that the state of Texas just lays it out, as we can see here. Let's go middle school. And we can see it's just listed straight down as basically a Word document. So this one lays it out a little differently, talks about, the different areas. And so they do something similar for all of the subjects. So you can see the snapshot and all the information there. So that's a really great resource. There's also scaffolding, academic vocabulary that could be helpful in your lesson, learning reports, and student learning reports. So feel free to explore that Lead Forward TEKS resources. These will each link you to the specific TEKS for Texas for each of these subject areas. And then we do have 2 lesson plan examples. They're not perfect because really no lesson plan is perfect, but there is an English and a math example. And so that's the lesson plan. So all of that is step 1, planning. So step 2 is going to be the delivery. The delivery will happen in class during week 14, and all groups are going to present and teach the lesson to each other. So students who are not presenting the lesson will act as students for the presenting group. Participation in that lesson is a part of your final grade, so make sure that you are acting as a student. So think about what grade level the group is teaching to and pretend that you are a 6th grade social studies student or a 12th grade English student, whatever their lesson is geared towards. You can use a Blackboard discussion to post materials for your students, or you can find other ways to share materials and links to students. And below are some elements, so right here and described in this table, just some elements for when you design and deliver the lesson. I want you to read over those on your own time. Consider each of these as you're designing and as you're delivering the lesson, and think about how these elements all align together. So once you have taught the lesson and you have acted as a student in the other group's lesson, we're going to do some reflection. So there is going to be a Google form that you are going to complete after each group teaches. So if you are the presenting group, then you will complete it as a reflection of your own lesson. And if you are the student group, you will complete it as a reflection of the presenting team's lesson. So if you are in a room and 4 groups are teaching, then you will be filling out that form 4 times, 3 times as a student and 1 time as the teacher. Now, the assignment is set up as a group submission in Blackboard, so you will only need to designate 1 group member to submit the lesson plan, and make sure that you also include any instructional materials that you have. So if you have slides, if you have an activity, if you have a handout, all of your items need to be submitted in Blackboard. And you can refer to the in-class or the weekly overview handouts to see what the specific deadlines are for that. And then here, as always, very important is the rubric. So you can see exactly how you're going to be taught or how you're going to be graded as you're teaching this lesson. So the first category is the actual lesson plan document. You want to make sure that it is complete and detailed. You're going to be assessed on the teaching of the mini lesson. The lesson should be taught well. It should be during the 20 to 25 minute time limit. So don't go over, don't go too far under. Make sure that you're prepared. It doesn't have to be an absolutely perfect lesson, but I do want to see that you're ready for it, that you're prepared, and that you clearly planned. Then the technology tool should be incorporated meaningfully to effectively teach the new concept. So it should clearly make sense why you used that tool to teach that content. And then your peer lesson participation, if you do not participate as a student for the other groups, you will be deducted 2 points. And you can see the educator PPR standards and the ISTE educator standards by clicking on those links below. So that is the overview of the assignment and how it's going to work, really starting with week 11 and planning and up until you teach your lesson in week 14. As always, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to reach out to your instructors. We are all happy to help you. Happy learning.